Hi students, we are going to look into a past paper today, specifically a GCE Ordinary Level Examination December 2019 Mathematics paper, both part 1 and part 2. So what I intend to do today is to walk you through all the mathematical sums in both the papers like part 1 and part 2 and show you how to approach those sums and solve and to answer your examination, like what kind of way that we follow when answering the answer sheet and so forth. So while also going through that, I will try to remind you about other mathematical concepts within the syllabus so that this video can be a quick refresher for you. Okay, let's get started then. Okay, so let's look into the part number 1. So as you can see, part number 1 is a 2-hour paper, and it contains actually two parts within part number 1, part A and part B. Part A contains 25 questions, kind of very simple questions, so each question carries 2 marks, and part B contains 5 questions, each carrying 10 marks. So looking into this part A and part B, part A will carry 50 marks and part B will carry 50 marks. So if you add those together, so overall for the part 1 of the mathematics exam, you have 100 marks, and for the part 2 you will get another 100 marks. So those marks that you get out of 100 will be added together and divided by 2 to get into the final figure or final mark out of 100, which will decide your grade, whether you get an A or B or C or a simple pass and so forth, or whether you fail, right? So that's how the calculation makes sense, right? So we need to have an understanding of how fast we should be going and for how much time we need to allocate for each question as well. In an exam, I think that's also crucial. So if you look at this particular exam, you have 25 questions in part A. I would say try to spend about 2 minutes on every question. Some of the questions might not even take 2 minutes. It might take less than that, so that you can save those saved minutes to a little bit of little trickier questions later on. And for the part B, because this is a 2-hour paper, if you spend 50 minutes for the part A, you have 70 minutes for part B, right? So you have 5 questions, so you can spend about nearly 14 minutes per question on that. So this is not a strict thing. You don't need to look into the watch every time when you answer the questions. Just try to go with your natural speed, but just keep in your mind, and if you get stuck in one particular question, try to move on. Having said that, so let's get started. Now, part A, answer all questions on this question paper itself. So make sure that you answer within this paper itself, not on a separate paper. And there are some other instructions given, as you can see. Area of the curved surface of a right circular cylinder of radius r and height h is 2 phi rh. So that means there is a question somewhere that is related to a cylinder, right? So even though I said you can spend about 2 minutes on a particular question, I might take more than 2 minutes in this session, because I'll be explaining how I devised that. So honestly, looking into this is the first time I'm looking into this paper. So that is kind of a new thing, and when I go through these questions, I will try to explain what goes through my mind, and possibly this is what you should be thinking while writing the exam as well. So your mind is different, so you will be thinking on a different pattern, but just I'm trying to explain what goes in my mind, so that we can just look into this video as we are doing the exam in real time. Okay, so let's first start then. Okay, first question. Customs duty of 9% is charged for a certain item that is imported. If the value of this item is 6,000 rupees, find the amount that has to be paid as customs duty. Pretty simple question. This is related to percentages, right? So how do we approach this question? So our amount that we have is rupees 6,000, and you have to pay 9% of your of that amount as customs duty. So this is how we calculate that. So 9% means 9 out of 100, right? So then 6,000 times 9 over 100. So how do we calculate this? So you just cut these values 2, and 60 times 9, 9 times 6 is 54, and with that 0 in, so you had to pay 540 rupees as customs duty. So that's all. Move on to the next question. Find the factors of x square plus 3x minus 10. This is a binomial expression, right? So it's a quadratic expression, excuse me. So it's x square plus 3x minus 10. So we can use a rough work page as well. So I'm going to use rough work page for this. So x square plus 3x minus 10. So if you just do x square, it's plus 3x minus 10, right? 3x minus 10. So to find the factors of this particular quadratic expression, what we have to do is x square, we have to find a combination of numbers which results 3x when you add, and when you multiply it's minus 10. So if you can readily see that value, right, 5 and 2, there is some relationship with 5 and 2 for 10 as well as for 3, right? So if you multiply 5 and 2, it becomes 10, but you have to do this operation, plus 5 minus 2 to get 3. So I need to have that in place. Then 5x minus 2x, so that is what this will result into. So I'm just writing the same thing, 3x, as 5x minus 2x minus 10. So why I chose 5x minus 2x instead of 6x minus 3x, because 6x minus 3x is also 3x, that's because you can see that if I in this case, like if I take the 2 out, there is a 5 remaining there, like that's how the factors work. So for these two, we can take the x out. So then what remains out of x square is x. Out of 5x, if you take the x out, that's 5 plus 5. And then for the remaining two literals, I will have to take the minus 2 out. So minus 2 times x is minus 2x, and minus 2 times plus 5 is what makes minus 10. So from this particular operation, we can take x plus 5 out. Then what remains here is x, and what remains here is minus 2. So this is the answer for that question. So x plus 5 times x minus 2. So this is x plus 5 times x minus 2. The better approach is for you to write this entire thing here, of course in a very smaller font than this, but we just wrote that in a rough work page. Okay. Right, let's quickly remind ourselves about integer multiplications and additions and so forth, because this is I see this as a very confusing thing for a lot of students. So it's good to have a quick refresher on that. So let's say we have two numbers, right? Like say 4 and 3, and we know 4 plus 3 is 7. That's pretty easy. And 4 plus minus 3, how do we add this? How do we solve this? This is like saying, always remember this table. When you multiply, you have two different types, and if you multiply two plus numbers, you get a plus number. If you multiply two a plus number with a minus number, you get a minus number. If you multiply a minus number with a plus number, you get a minus number. If you multiply minus number with a minus number, you get a plus number. So when these two signs are same, the answer is plus. If at least one, not at least one, if one of the two literals is minus, then the answer is also minus when you multiply, right? Not when you add. Now what we are looking here is an addition. So why I quickly reminded you about this table is because now this particular parentheses or bracket is another way of saying multiplication. So plus and minus, you see a plus here and a minus here. So you see the table here, plus and minus is minus, right? So you instead of these operation, you can substitute that with this minus. So minus 3. So it's actually the answer is 1 then. 4 minus 3 is 1. Don't ask me how to do 4 minus 3. It's primary school mathematics, right? So the other thing is now if we have minus 4 plus 3, things like this. Now this can happen. Now the easy way to do this type of thing is also to think about it's like giving someone 4 rupees and taking back 3 rupees. Ultimately you are still 1 rupee short, so that you write it as minus 1. And also minus 4 minus 3, it's like you are giving one person 4 rupees and also giving another person 3 rupees. Altogether you are in 7 rupee loss, so it's minus 7, right? So this is a quick refresher on integer arithmetic, and there are other ways as well, so I'll just skip that. And also we learned about factors, right? So factors of a algebraic expression, we looked at quadratic expressions. There are other types of expressions as well. For example, we know if we have a difference of two squares, the factors of this is x minus y plus x plus y. So this is pretty easy, so I just reminded this. And okay, let's go back to our questions then. Right, third question, find the value of x according to the information given in the figure. So we know what this figure is, right? It's a triangle. So sum of all the angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. So we have one angle given 100 degrees and the other two angles given as x. So if we add these three angles, this should become 180 degrees. So it's pretty easy. So if we know this becomes a equation. So we can take this 100 to the other side. So then these two we can add together as 2x. 2x is equal to 180 minus 100, which is 40. And then this means x is 20. Is that right? Sorry. So this is 80. 180 minus 100 is 80. Then x is 40. So if you divide 80 by 2, you get 40. So that's how you solve that question. So pretty easy. So as I just made a mistake, like 180 minus 100, I wrote it as 40. So that kind of mistakes can happen. So it's always better to look back. Once you finish the questions, don't just move to the other question soon. Just spend a few seconds, like 10 seconds, to go through the question again, how you have solved the question, and make sure that whether you have made all the things right, whether you have made any silly mistakes there, and so forth. So that will make sure that you eliminate any errors. So second check can catch a lot of errors if you have done, right? So let's move on to the question number 4. So if it is given that log base 2 to the number a is equal 5, that's how you pronounce that or read it. Write the value of a as a power of 2. So basically, if you have this type of a logarithm, you can write a as 2 to the power of 5. So this is logarithm. So I expect you to know this thing, but let's quickly remind ourselves about logarithm. So log of a particular number a to value b is n. You can write the same thing in indices format. A to the power of n is equal to b. So this is logarithm. So a to the power of n is b, means log base a to this value is equal to this number. So that's what it means. So for example, we know 2 or 3 to the power of 4 is 81. So 3 to the power of 4 means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So basically 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81, so that's what I wrote here. So if you write this in logarithmic format, so this is the base, so for the log base 3 of number 81 is this power value is 4. So this is some basic logs. There are other logarithm related theories as well, like what happens when you multiply two logarithms or indices and so forth, and we can remind about those things as we go as well. For example, let's see if we can remind that quickly. So if you just look at log base a mn multiplication, this is equal to log base a m plus log base a n. So multiplication of two numbers, its logarithm is equivalent to addition of logarithms of individual numbers. That's what it means. So if we just take the other way, m divided by n, so this is equal to log a m minus log a n. And if we have something like this, log a m to the power of n, this equals to n comes to the beginning, log a m. So these are some basic logarithm principles that you need to remember. So let's go back to our questions soon. Next question, find the time it takes to fill a tank of capacity 420 liters. So there is a tank with a capacity of 420 liters and someone is filling that and using a pipe through which water flows at a rate of 60 liters per minute. So this is also so we need to find the time, like you just pump water inside this tank at a rate of 60 liters per minute. So if you just hold that pipe for 1 minute, it will fill 60 liters. So then they're asking how long will it take for you to fill 420 liters. So this is pretty easy. This is like proportions. So 60 liters per minute. So to fill 60 liters, it will take 1 minute. Then they're asking 420 liters, correct? 420 liters, yes, 420 liters. So how do we solve this? So if this is x, you can write the same as this value divided by this, and then you have to divide these values. This is what proportions are. X divided by 1 is equal to 420 liters divided by 60 liters. Now this is in minutes, right? So this is in minutes, so you should get the answers in minutes. So these values, if you just cut that off, 42 divided by 6 is 7. So 7 minutes is the answer. So you can write that value here, 420 divided by 60 liters. This will become 7 minutes multiplied by 1 minute. So that's how you answer that question. Question number 6. Okay, the points A, B, C and D lie on the circle shown in the figure. ABC is 100 degrees, and as you can see they have marked ABC as 100 degrees there, and CAB is 30 degrees. Find X. So first of all, this is a theorem. There is a theorem of circles like on this. If you have a circle with 2 points like this, A and B, and if you draw a line like this and again another line that joins the circle at 2 different points like D and C here, right? So that theorem states in that case the angle that it creates, X, will be equal to the other angle if those lines are drawn up to the circle, right? Whatever that point would be, let's say if you just draw another one, this value will also be X. So we know for a fact then this value should be X. So if you know that is X, so then this problem becomes pretty easy, right? Now then ABC, this one is 180 degrees. That's a triangle. So yet again another triangle problem. Only tricky part here is to remember that the angle ADB is equal to ACB. so that is x. So then the value should be x plus, then the other angle in the triangle is 30, then adding 100, so this should equal to 180. So now this is 130, then x should be 180 minus 130, which is 50 degrees. Pretty simple, right? So there are other theorems as well. Let's try to quickly remind ourselves about some of the fundamental circle related geometry, right? So let's try that. So I just mentioned, let's try to find, so this is a circle, sorry. So now let's say you have the center of the circle and 2 points A and B. So the theorem that just states says this angle is equal to this angle and this angle and this angle. Wherever you draw those lines, all these angles will be equal, is what that theorem states. So this is in grade 11 book if I'm not mistaken. So make sure that you if you don't remember that, just take that and look into those chapters and try to do some of those questions in the textbook so that you revise yourself, right? So the other theorem is, if you have, let's say, 2 points A and B, and you draw a line to the center, and there is also another line like this, so then if this is x, that theorem states this value is 2x. There are also proofs of these theorems, so I'm not going to go through that, and you are free to just go to your text, open your textbook and refer those things, so that will be really useful as well. So this is another theorem related to triangle, okay, sorry, the circle. And okay, so the next one I can remember is, so I'm just reminding you about the things that I remember. So A and B, two lines, and if you just draw a line between those two and then draw a perpendicular line, here, so this becomes 90 degrees, and then you draw these two lines, then the theorem states then these two values are equal. So basically that means if I name this as C, AC becomes CB, is what that particular theorem states. So anyway, these values are equal because that is the radius of your circle. Okay, so this is a quick refresher on that. So let's get back to our question then soon. So okay, next question is about yeah, this is the cylinder question. So they have given a clue at the top of the paper. So the base radius of a solid right circular cylinder. So right circular cylinder means a cylinder which is of this shape. And so when you draw two lines between these two, it will be a 90 degree, is what a solid right circular cylinder means. So it has a radius of 7 centimeters. So this is 7 centimeters. So this is 7 centimeters. And then they're saying its height is 10 centimeters. Okay. And then they're asking us to find the area of the curved surface of the cylinder. So height is 10 centimeters. So the curved surface, they have already given the 25RH is the curved surface area. So they have already given that value in clues. So 2 times 5 pi value, we can take it as 22 over 7. R value is 7, and H is this much, so that is 10. So I'm going to cut these two. So 22 times 2 is 44. 44 times 10 is 440. What is the unit? It's going to be square centimeter. So that's because this value is centimeter, this value is also centimeter. So centimeter times centimeter is centimeter square. So 440 centimeter square is the value. So you had to write that here. I'm just not going to repeat it here. So let's try to remind about few other values. So if now in this question they're asking us the surface area of the curved surface, but if you are asked to find the full surface area, you will also have to find the surface area of this and this. So then what is that? It's just a circle, right? Circle's area is 5r square. So then you have to add 2 5r square to add this value, one up here and another one down here, and then you have to add that value to this value over here, right? So that's about surface area of a cylinder. And what about a sphere? A sphere, I think if you get a question of that sort, examination department is a little they are little concerned about you remembering those formulas, but they will provide those formulas for you. So anyhow, the if it's a sphere, the surface area is 4 5r square. So these values are in your textbook, so I recommend you to go and follow that as well. So let's move on to the next question then. Okay, we are into question number 8. So this says find the gradient of the straight line represented by AB. Now, if you when you look at this particular graph, you should already remember that this is a y equal mx plus c type of a graph. So we have this type of graph. We write it as y equal mx plus c. So what they are asking to find is m. So but anyway, you don't need this particular equation to solve this. So basically the gradient means this value, how to calculate that. So gradient you can calculate by difference of this divided by difference of this. So basically 6 minus 4 divided by the corresponding x values, and 2 minus 1. So 6 minus 4 is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. So the gradient of this particular line is 2. Okay, so there are other types of graphs as well, parabolic graphs for example. So those type of questions might come in the second paper, so we'll have to see that. Okay, so moving to the next question. Okay, simplify ax divided, I'll take the rough work page for this question because simplification, I want to show you how to do that. So ax divided by 2, ax divided by 2, then there is a division sign, and then you have 3a divided by 4x, 3a divided by 4x. Now these are very simple questions, so we write this as ax divided by 2. So you should have learned, for this to do, we have to convert this division into multiplication. When we do that thing, we have to use the reciprocal of this. So reciprocal means the opposite of that. So to find the reciprocal of this means you have to just switch those two numbers upside down. So 4x goes up, 3a comes down. So then we can cut down or chop off the a values, and for this 4 also, 4 you can easily divide it by 2, so that is 2. So then what remains is 2 upwards and 3 down, and there are 2 x's. So x multiplied by x becomes x square. So 2 over 3 x square is the answer. 2 over 3 x square. So you had to show how you deduce that. Whatever I wrote here, you had to write here. So just use your rougher page and just copy it down here. Question number 10. So question number 10 says, in the given figure, the side CB of the right angle triangle ABC is produced to F. Produced to F means the side CB is extended up to F, and this is a right angle triangle, means one angle is 90 degrees. Okay, the midpoints of AB and CB. So CB is this, the midpoint of CB and AB are these, which are E and D respectively. Those are joint, right? if DEB figure is also given, the angle, if that is 50 degrees, they are asking us to find EBF, so this value. So there is a theorem, a triangular theorem related to produced values. If this value, if this is x, this is y, this value is x plus y, I ask you to prove it yourself, or just refer to your textbook. So to find this value, then we need to have the two interior angles. We need to know this value and this value. So there's another theorem that says midpoint theorem actually. So if you have a triangle like this, and if you draw a parallel line in the middle, let's say like this, it's a parallel line. So in fact that says, if you just draw it in the middle, the length of these two lines have a relationship. But anyway, if that is parallel, these are alternate angles, those should be equal as well anyway. So for in this case, then this angle CAB should be 50, because these two are parallel lines. These two becomes parallel lines if the midpoint theorem states that as well. Like if you just draw these two mid lines here, and then if you just join that, that will be parallel to your other leg of the triangle. So this should be parallel. Because that is parallel, this value becomes 50. You should say that according to the midpoint theorem, AC is parallel to ED. Therefore, CAB angle is equal to DEB angle, which is 50. So then we know the exterior angle EBF is equal to the sum of the two interior angles, this theorem. So we can apply to here. So we already know this angle, which is 90 degrees, and then we have this angle now 50 degrees, so we have to add those two, 50 and 90 becomes 140. It's pretty simple. Then next question, solve 2x square minus 8 equals 0. So you had to find what the value of x, the excess value. So this is pretty easy. You can find there are multiple ways to solve this. I'm also going to use the rough work page for this, so that I can show you better there. 2x square minus 8. So 2x square minus 8, there are multiple ways to solve that. 2x square minus 8 equals 0. One obvious way is 2x square minus 8, you add 8 both sides. Why you add 8 both sides? Because we want to nullify this. Minus 8 plus 8 is like giving someone 8 rupees and taking back 8 rupees, which doesn't mean anything. That means you haven't lost or gained anything. So then that becomes 0. So 2x square plus 0 is 2x square, and 0 plus 8 is 8. Then what we can do is we can divide both sides by 2. Why I divide that by 2? Because I want to nullify these two. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So x square is 4, means x is the square root of 4, which means x can be either plus or minus 2. Why two values? Because plus 2 times plus 2 is also 4, minus 2 times minus 2 is also 4. Remember what I earlier I drew a small table showing different signs of multiplication, right? So minus multiplication also results in plus, plus multiplication also results in a plus value. So there are two values for this. So x should be equal to plus or minus 2. So you can write it that way. So what's the other way actually? So I'll use a different color for this. 2x square minus 8 is equal to 0. So you can take 2 out of this. So that is x square minus 4 then equals 0. So because if you take 2 out, 2x square, 2 times minus 4, 8. So that's why 2 came out. 2 times a particular value, 2 times a particular value is 0, means that value should be 0, isn't it? 2 times 0 is what? 0. So then we can take this off anyway. So that means x square minus 4 is 0. Now for this, you can write 4 as 2 square, 0. So remember I wrote down factors earlier on as well. X square minus y square. X square minus y square is x minus y, x plus y, 0. So this is, once you have this level of equation, so it's like two numbers. One of those two numbers should be 0 to result 0. So then that means x minus 2 should be 0, or x plus 2 should be 0. So then taking this to the other side, x should be 2. In this case, if you take it other side, x should be minus 2. So the same results, right? So then answer is x is equal to plus or minus 2, and you had to write that in the proper way here, right? So let's move on to the next question. Next question, question number 12. A man takes a loan of 5,000 rupees for 2 years at an annual interest of 8% with the interest compounded annually. This is compounded interest rates. How much is the interest for the second year for this loan? So we can say for the first year the interest rate is 5,000 times 8%. 8%, you can write it this way. So we can take this off. 50 times 8 is 400, right? So this value, so end of the first year, you can say end of first year, the total amount due is 5,400. So the second year, the compound interest states that the second year's interest is calculated based on this value. So the interest for the second year is, interest for second year is 5,400 times 8%. So 54 times 8, what's the value? So basically 54 times 8, user of work page, if you want to, 8 times 4 is 32, 3 over 8 times 5 is 40, and 3 432. So this is the interest rate for the second year. So value is 432 rupees. Okay, next question. A cyclic quadrilateral. So what's a quadrilateral? A quadrilateral is a polygon with 4 sides. A cyclic quadrilateral is a quadrilateral, a 4-sided polygon that also sits on a circle. So the cyclic quadrilateral ABCD is shown in figure in the figure. The side AB is produced to F. Okay, produced to E, sorry. So the E is here. Moreover, BCD is 120, so that is given. CBE is 70. So then find the value of x and y. So in a quadrilateral, a cyclic quadrilateral, so we know that now if this is 70, we know readily the inner angle is, because this is a straight line, the inner angle is 110 degrees, because 110 plus 70 is 180, because this AE is a single line, right? So if this is 110, so there is a theorem in geometry that says if it's a cyclic quadrilateral, these opposite angles, if you add those two angles, that should become 180. So then that means 120 plus y is 180. So that means y is 60. And similarly, now we know this value is 110. 110 plus x should be 180, which means x is 70. So that's what it means. Okay, so pretty simple. Okay, next question, question number 14. The students in a certain school who study the subjects art, dancing, and music are represented by the pie chart. So if the number of students who study music is 45, so this value is 45 here. They're asking the students studying dancing, this value. How to find this? Pretty easy. So first of all, you have to find the angle that dancing represents. So we know an angle around a point is 360. So that means a dancing angle, so I'll just put it as D plus 210 plus, so let me write it right, 210 plus 90 degrees is 360, because no one needs to say this is 90 because it's a right angle. That's what that sign means, right? So 210 plus 90 is 300, so that means D is 60. Now that's the angle, right? So we just found the angle, so we still didn't find the number of students. So what they are saying is the music is 45 students. 45 students, it represents 45 students here. 90 degrees represents 45 students. So 90, so remember this, 90 represents 45. Then what does 60 represent? Pretty easy, right? So you don't need to even calculate that, so you can show that. So 90, half of that is 45, then half of this should be 30. So how many students are in the dancing? 30 students. You can write this, formula there, and then figure out the answer. Pretty simple. Next question. Express the sixth term in the geometric progression 9, 27, 81. Now 9, 27, 81, right? So let's delete this. 9, 27, 81, and there are other values here. 9 times 3 is this. You have to multiply by 3. So they're asking us to find the sixth term, right? The sixth term. So you can either just do it hard way. You can just go multiply by 3 and then again multiply by 3 is the first term. The second term, third term, you will get from this the fourth term, fifth term, and then you multiply by that by 3, you get the sixth term. So 81 times 3, it's 243, right? 243 times 3 is how much? 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1, 729. And 729 times 3 is 3 times 9 is 27. 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 and 2 is 8. 3 times 7 is 21. So answer is 2187. Now this is the hard way of doing it, right? So if you don't remember the equation, there is a equation formula for this, and if you don't remember that thing, you can do it the hard way. But if they're asking the 100th term, fortunately they're asking the sixth term, so which you can just do it the hard way. But if it's 100th term, you'll have to spend the entire 2 hours calculating that for doing that kind of questions. But anyway, that's the best way of doing it. So I just showed this for those who just in case didn't get the formula to the mind at the time, right? So now this is a geometric progression. Geometric progression means that progressions, one value is taken by multiplying a certain value from the previous value. So, and that value is consistent. So it's like 3 here, 3 here, and so forth. So for the geometric expression, it's a r n minus 1. If you remember this, Tn. Right, a is the first value, which is 9. R is the value that we keep on multiplying, so which is in this case 3, right? So 3. N is the value that we need, the sixth value or the seventh value, the eighth value. Now they are asking the sixth value, so this should be 6 minus 1. So that is 9 times 3 to the power of 5. Now we need to find the 3 to the power of 5, right? 3 to the power of 5 is, we know 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and another time. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. 81 times 3 is 243. 243. Now you multiply this. 243 times 9, 21. 9 times 4 is 36. 36 and 2, 38. You get 3 here. 9 times 2 is 18, 18 and 3, 21. 2180. Sorry, here I made a mistake. 9 times 3 is 27. So this sort of mistakes can happen. So just make sure that, right? So 2187. This way also you can take the answer. Next question, question number 16. A parallelogram ABCD is given in the figure. For each statement in the table, if it is correct, mark a tick in front of it, and if it is incorrect, mark a cross in front of it. So parallelogram means these two lines are parallel, the opposite lines. So in a parallelogram, we know this particular triangle and the other triangle are congruent. Congruent means they are equivalent in some sort. So basically that means the entire parallelogram is twice the area of this. So that's exactly what the first statement states, right? Area of the triangle ABD equals half of the area of the parallelogram. So that is a correct statement. So the diagonal DB bisects ADC. So what it means? So it's asking the DB is, it bisects ADC. Is it correct? That's not correct. So in a parallelogram, what we know is this angle and this angle is equal, and this angle and this angle is equal. This angle and the other angle, those two are not equal. It doesn't bisect, that means. So this is an incorrect statement. So there are special types of parallelograms like square and rectangle, for which the bisection of the diagonal is true, but not for a parallelogram. Next question. Find the least common multiple of the following three algebraic terms. Okay, so let's use our paper here. 3x square and 6xy, and the other one is 2y. So to do this, so let's try to write this as 3 times x square. This value we can write it as 2 times 3 times x times y with individual terms. This one 2 times y. So we have to take the highest of each. So this one, based on the all three statements here, all three literals 1, 2 and 3, we only find 3 as the highest power, so we only take one of that. And for 2, again we only see that as the highest power, so we only take that. For y also we only take that, but x we take the highest. So that's what it means, like we have to take that. So the least common multiple is 6 x square y. So this is how you calculate that. So usually least common multiple is useful when you have algebraic fractions to simplify, and then you have to take the least common multiple to simplification purposes. So 6 x square y is the answer. Question number 18. The center of the circle in the given figure is O. Find the value of x according to the information indicated in it. So now we have a circle with center O, and there's one angle given as 55. So based on that we have to find the value x, which is this. So I stated one theorem based on circles. So if this value is x, this value is 2x. So that's how in mathematics always it's very nice that you can link everything together. So you have to readily see these things, and then we know, okay, so 2x is known. If this value is known, if I know this value, I can then form a equation based on triangles, right? So 2x plus 55, then what is this value actually? So that value, there is another theorem actually. So we know this is a circle, right? For circle and O is the center, then OA and OB should be equal, because those are the radiuses of this circle. And there is another theorem in with related to triangles that says two angles opposite to two equal sides of a triangle are also equal. So this means this angle, the opposite is this one, this angle. For this particular side, opposite is this. So if these two lines are equal in length, these two angles should also be equal. So then this angle should be 55 as well. So you write 55, so then 180. Then we know 2x, 55 and 55, if you add up, that is 110. It's 180. Then 2x is, you take this other side, 180 minus 110, which is 70. And that means I take it here, x is equal to 35 degrees, right? Right, the other one, question number 19, two vertical pillars A, B and C, D located on a level ground. Now these are two vertical pillars, right? So I'm gonna just delete that. Located on a level ground are shown in the figure. When observed from D, the angle of elevation of B, now this one, if you draw here, this is 42 degrees. That's what they are saying, right? The angle of elevation of B is 42 degrees and the angle of depression of A, so that means if you from when you look at from D, this is 58. Represent this information in the figure. Okay, we have already done that. So basically this is what the question is. So if you just draw that in this way, you should be good. Question number 20. A bag contains 35 identical marbles. A certain number of them are white while the rest are black. If the probability of marble picked randomly from the bag being black is 5 over 7, how many black marbles are there in the bag? That's pretty simple. So if you have 5 over 7, this is the probability of this particular, means if you have 5 black marbles if you have 7 marbles, right? So then if you have 35, the value is 25. So 35 divided by 7 is 5, 5 times 5 is 25. So in fact this is not a pure probability question, but it's related to that. Yeah, next question, 21. Fill in the blanks in the following statement using suitable geometric terms. The straight line joining the center of a circle to the, so you have a center of a circle to blank of a chord. So you have a chord, a blank of a chord of the circle is blank to the chord. Okay, so what it could mean is straight line joining the center of a circle to the middle of a chord. To the middle of a chord. Yeah, to the middle of a chord. Of a chord of the circle is, we can say this, when you do this, this is perpendicular, will be perpendicular to the chord. Circle to the straight line joining the center of a circle to the, yeah, middle, or sometimes you can also say center, because if you are to use a geometric term, better to use center of the chord of the circle is perpendicular to the chord. So rather than the word middle, better to use the word center there. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of this type of questions, but anyway, it just tests whether you have studied the textbook and also knows the terms that we use in geometry in general. But honestly, I'm not a big fan of this type of questions. But anyway, so I guess this is right. Right. Next question. Find the value of x if okay, these are two matrices. So we have to first multiply to see what the value is. Right. So 3 1 3 1 minus 1 2. Yeah. So let's see this. Yeah. So we have 3 1 minus 1 2. So 3 times 2, the first value, this is taken as 3 times 2 plus 1 times minus 1. 1 times minus 1, that is equal 5, because this is 6 plus minus 1 becomes plus 5. So this value is actually 5. So let me delete this, and then to take this value over here, we have to multiply 3 by minus 1 plus 1 times 1, this value by this value, this value by this value, and this is minus 3 plus 1, so this should be minus 2. So this is minus 2, right? Then next is this term. You can take it by multiplying minus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2 plus 2 times minus 1, 2 times minus 1, like this. So this is minus 2 plus minus 2. Answer will be minus 4. This is minus 4. So then I'm going to delete that, and then let's go on to the next one. So then the final value can be obtained, this one, by 2 times this value, 2 times minus 1 plus 2 times 1. So this is minus 2 plus 2, which is 0. So 4 minus 2, 5 minus 2 minus 4, 0. Yeah, it matches up, right? So that is x is minus 2. X is minus 2. The last value is mistaken, I believe. What's wrong? Yeah, last value, there's a small mistake here. Actually, it should be is it 1 over there? Yeah, this is minus 1. Okay, this should be, then you have to multiply this by this, right? Minus 1 times minus 1, which should be plus 1. Then this is 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So 1 and 2 is 3. So there is a mistake here. Fortunately, that is already given. So that's not what they have asked. So the x value is minus 2. So make sure that you study how to multiply matrices. So let me quickly revise some other matrix rules as well. So if you want to add, let's say if you want to add, now this is multiplication. If you want to add, we just add the corresponding values. So 3 should be added to 2, so then that is 5. 1 will be added to minus 1, that will be 0. Minus 1 will be added to minus 1, that will be minus 2. 2 will be added to 1, that will be 3. So that is the addition of two matrices. Multiplication is little complex but pretty easy if you just practice it. You have to what you have to do is you have let's say m1 n1 m2 n2, let's say k1 l1 k2 l2, like this. To get the first value here, this value, you have to multiply m1, this row, by this row, m1 k1 plus n1 k2. That's what it means. And to get this value over here, you have to multiply this row by this column. So m1 l1 plus n1 l2, right? So the next one is, to get this value, you have to multiply this row by this column, m2 k1 plus n2 k2, the value that comes there. The final one over here, that will be this row times this column, right? So m2 l1 plus n2 l2. So these values, so you can get questions of equations and with algebraic terms like x and y to solve. That type of questions could come with related to matrices as well. Right. Question number 23. From a group of students who are represented in the given Venn diagram, the set of students who like mathematics is represented by A. So this is A represents uh, students who like students who like mathematics, right? And the set of students who like science is represented in the B circle. So in the Venn diagram, shade the regions that represent students who like only one of these subjects. So this is pretty simple. You don't need to know. This is normally set theorem, but you don't need to know anything about set to do this. Now, if I just draw here, what does it mean? It's basically students who like both maths and science, but what they want is only those students who like either one of that. So then we have to use not this, we have to use, yeah, so students who like only maths will be here because they don't like science. Students who like science, only science, will be here. So this is the region that they want to highlight. Okay, next question. A distance time graph. Okay, this is a distance and time graph. According to time, how long someone has traveled is what this graph indicates. The distance time graph that represents the motion of a motor vehicle is shown in the figure. Which part of the graph represents the motor vehicle traveling with the greatest speed? What is this speed? So this type of a graph, one thing to remember is anything that is more slanted towards the y-axis is the fastest, right? So as time moves here, which one moves faster this side means, if I draw a line like this, in 2 hours time, this graph would have traveled faster, right? So in 2 hours, this would have traveled 300 kilometers instead of AB 20 kilometers. So what does this mean? So in a graph like this, if the slant of or the gradient of the line is higher or it's more towards the y-axis, then that will be the fastest. So given the lines, if I just remove those, is it AB more closer to the y in terms of the gradient wise, or is it BC, or is it CD? Obviously AB, right? So the answer should be AB. So then how to find the speed? Speed is the distance divided by time. So here we can find, because it's a straight line, we can find it by 120 kilometers divided by 2 hours. We can write 60 kilometers per hour, or you can also write 60 kilometers per hour. This way also we normally write it. Okay, we are finally into the last question. So this question says a portion of the locus is the path of a particular object which travels across a plane, for example. A portion of the locus of a point that moves at a constant distance of 5 meter from the given point P is indicated by the arc in this sketch. Yes, so P is the center, and it's like a circle, right? So it's an arc. Any place from here to here it's 5, here to here it's 5, here to here it's 5, and so forth. So that's what it says. Okay, 5 meter from the given point P is indicated by the arc in this sketch. The straight line RS is 7 meters. So from this to here is 7 meters. Okay, from the P. Indicate by a sketch on this figure how the points on the arc which are at a distance of 5 meter from the straight line RS also are found. So here this is like, if I draw a line like this will be 5 meters, right? So this will be 2 meters. So this section 5 meters, this section will be 2 meters. So to draw a line or or an arc or something that is 5 meters from here. So because this is 2, obviously 5 will be somewhere here. So if I just draw a line like this will be 5 meters, right? So it's either this point or this point. And if you just draw this line, I think that should suffice to answer this question. And you had to indicate this 5 meter. So if you indicate this 7 and this thing 2, those will be additional details and good to have in the answer sheet as well. Yeah, that's ends the part A of part 1. I think it took a while for us, but we just went through, because it's a revision, we also talked about a lot of other theories and all. So let's then talk about part B.